Hi, this is Sean from FixYourSleep.com, and today I'm bringing you a video entitled How to Sleep When Your Mind is Racing. Now, this is the number one problem that patients and clients present to me as their reason for not being able to get a great night's sleep. They say they lie in bed and their thoughts just loop and race away and their mind's really active and they can't switch off and fall to sleep easily. So that's going to be the subject of today's video, and I'm just going to give you a little method and a couple of principles that might really help you here. A lot of my patients, a lot of my clients get great results by going through similar processes to what I'm going to be discussing with you today. What tends to happen is if you have a stressful or very emotional experience during the day or something going on in your life situation, our mind tends to overthink it. So we think it over and over and we plan different scenarios and different things that we can do. So for example, let's say you have an argument with your boss in work, you might find yourself lying in bed and kind of thinking, if I would have said this and then he would have said that, maybe I could have done this or spoke to this person. Or you might think about, okay, well tomorrow when I go in I'm going to say this to him, or I'll keep out his way, or I'll do that, or I'll do this. And it doesn't really help, okay? It certainly doesn't help you get to sleep. So what happens is we lie in bed and we think over this stressful situation. And of course, because our attention is on something that's actually quite stressful or something we're worried about, it produces adrenaline in our body. Now, adrenaline keeps us active, it keeps our mind going, it basically keeps us awake and keeps us alert, which of course we don't want when we're trying to get sleep. So, what I'd like you to begin to think about is a very simple process, a very conscious way of deciding where to put your attention, okay? The way this works is to do two things. The first thing is to know that you have to take your attention off of those thoughts, off of the things that is causing you adrenaline. That adrenaline is going to force you to continue to think about things and you're going to be stuck in a loop. The second thing you need to do is then to put your attention on something else that is engaging and also leads you towards sleep. So whereas the other thoughts, the other loops were leading you towards feeling very anxious and producing a lot of adrenaline, we now want you thinking about something that leads your mind towards something more relaxing, something more kind of everyday, something more interesting, something more creative. Now, the method I teach people is called the simple sleep sequence. This is what I teach my patients and my clients. And I'm going to teach you a very similar thing today, but it's much more simple and we can do it much more quickly over video. What I'd like you to do is, when you're laid in bed, if you find your mind racing or if you think your mind's going to race and you're not going to be able to get to sleep easily, in fact this is great practice every single night anyway, is to consciously decide to think about something that, as I said, is engaging and it's just quite relaxing, just kind of takes your mind in the opposite direction. Now, I can't kind of tell you what this is going to be because you're going to have to decide for yourself, determined by what hobbies and what interests you have. I'll give you a few examples. Let's say you're a chef and you love cooking meals, you love cooking for your family. You might lay in bed and you might just think through, a few different recipes, a few different kind of meal ideals, what foods you could put together, what wines go with that food, and you can really get engaged in that whole process of allowing your mind something to think about, which doesn't get you anxious. Let's say, for example, you really are into kind of fitness or sports. You might design yourself a new training or workout routine in your mind, putting exercises together and kind of imagining results and kind of different things around that. Let's say you're really into a musical instrument. You might mentally rehearse playing that instrument. You might write a new piece of music. You might rehearse a new song, think about songs that you'd like to learn to play. As a quick side note, you'll probably find that your performance in each of those areas would also improve. There's loads of research backing that. The two keys to this though. Number one, whatever your mind is now on has to be engaging. Okay? The classic way of trying to get to sleep when your mind is racing is by counting sheep. Okay? Now, one of the problems with that is it's not very engaging. So you might count a sheep, you count another sheep, and your mind will free associate back to whatever your problem or your the stressful thoughts were. So you might see a sheep with a slightly grey wool, and you might think, oh, that was like my boss's jumper today when I was having that argument with him, and once again you're straight back into that negative thought loop, and now you're going to struggle to get to sleep. So what I want you to do is to mentally rehearse, mentally engage with a hobby, something that's light-hearted, something you enjoy, and something that really engages your mind, but leads you to a more relaxed, more interested frame of mind, rather than being in the other frame of mind where it actually activates another part of our brain. It activates our frontal lobes, which will keep us awake, and basically will produce adrenaline as well if we're thinking very negatively. So go ahead, practice this method, spend a few nights, spend a bit of time really working it through, and hopefully you're going to see all the wonderful benefits that you should do if you apply this in the right way.
Thanks very much for watching, and if you'd like to learn more about what you can do to get to sleep quickly, stay asleep, and wake up every day feeling refreshed and full of energy, then go right now to www.fixyoursleep.com to receive a special free video training on how to cure insomnia and improve your sleep.